So yesterday, this convicted child molester, his name is Kyle Hochstrasser. That's the name that he changed. He changed his name to that in prison. His original name, Richard Street. He's been released now into the community of Palmdale. The two people who are with us is Wayanne Kruger, who is the mother of Desiray, who was the child who he molested, and also her attorney, Gloria Allred. Good morning. Thank you for being with us this morning. I would imagine, Wayanne, that yesterday was a very unnerving day for you and your daughter.
Yes.
When you knew that this man was going to be released after serving only half of his sentence, and there was nothing that anybody could do because the law says he served his time and he's now released into society. What was running through your mind yesterday?
Well, it didn't really take to me until we actually sat down and Gloria said, as of this morning, Richard had been released, because I didn't actually hear it from anybody else that he had been. And at that point, I think I probably just, went a blank in my mind. It just didn't really hit me until yesterday when she had said that.
What about your daughter?
Desiree it hit her a couple days before that. She actually received the letter that he was being released from the postman, and she had to sign for the letter. So it actually hit her the day that she got the letter.
I know she's been having nightmares. You said that she's started eating again too,
yeah,
which is a sign that she's really...
That's one of her biggest signs is eating a lot. So we look for that, and we watch her real closely, and she's in counseling.
All right, now this has been obviously a nightmare for you folks for the past 4 years. Now we have a situation where, by law, this man has served his time in prison. And let me take the other side for a minute and say, if he has served his time in prison under the law, does he not deserve, if he's paid his dues, a second chance to go out and continue on with his life? Right?
Well, we think, Susan, that he should never have been sentenced to such a short term in the first place. And Desiray and I went to court at the time of the sentencing and argued for a maximum term in prison, the maximum for a lewd act with a child under the age of 14, the felony for which he was convicted, is 8 years. One report actually was recommending that he serve no time, that he just walk out of the courtroom. And I'm happy that the judge did sentence him to time in prison after Desiray and I argued for that. But he only sentenced him to the minimum period, that was 3 years, and then because he gets credit for work time and for good time served, he only has to serve about 50% of it. I think Desiray is sentenced to a lifetime of nightmares, and for him to have to only serve 1.5 years, we think is really very unfair.
Okay, but that's the way the law sits at this point. So
yes.
What's interesting is that his name was Richard Street. He changed his name in prison to Kyle Hochstrasser, which is the name that he's now going by. Do you think it will be harder then for people to identify him when he moves back into this community of Palmdale?
Well, I'm hoping that if he's going to be using that name, then he will have to be known by that name. He'll have to register as a sex offender under both names, actually, because he does have two identities. It is AKA. I think because of the publicity surrounding the case, he is going to be known by that name. Now, people who aren't in a situation to go public like us, that's a different story, and that's something that should be really looked at.
Do you think it's easier for a convicted criminal to change their name so that they can lose themselves easier in society when they come back out? Or do you think in this case he's saying, look, I really want a second chance at life. I don't want people to discriminate against me, so I'm going to try and give people less ammunition to discriminate against me because I really want to make a go of it and have a second chance.
He may want a second chance, and he should have a second chance. But what we're really concerned about is the protection of the children, as well as the punishment of wrongdoers in the legal system. So I don't think that persons who are child molesters should get 50% off of their term. I think we are entitled to truth in sentencing in this state, and I think that we all should know exactly what the sentence is when they are sentenced. And I don't think that they should get such a big credit. Maybe they should get 10% credit off for good time to protect the guards in the jail, in the prison, but not 50% credit off if they are child molesters. So I think more needs to happen to change the law so that these sexual predators can't change their name, and so that the community knows who is living in their midst.
Governor Wilson is in favor of this one strike and you're outlaw for rapists and child molesters. I would assume by all the publicity that you've given this case, you can at least take some comfort in knowing that perhaps you will impact the changing of the laws and making them stricter.
Yes, I hope we do have an impact on the child sexual abuse, all of the issues there. If also under the anti-crime bill, that's federal.
daughter Desiray?
I'm her
How do you two conduct your lives now, knowing that this man is back out on the street?
Well, we really haven't conducted it yet because it just got out yesterday, so that's a hard question to answer. At this point, we don't live in the area anymore, and we've requested a 100-mile radius restraining order from Richard, and we haven't got that yet.
It's gotten 35
We've
miles.
gotten 35 miles, which we are going to petition to get 100 miles.
And I want to say that Desiray has been very brave. She has fought back. She has wanted to go public so that others will know her identity, so that children will know that they shouldn't be ashamed if they are survivors of child sexual abuse. She has filed a civil lawsuit against the perpetrator, and we have won a $2 million verdict against him. So she is showing that she is not going to live her life in fear. And we did ask the governor if there's anything that could be done to keep him in prison. The governor did respond within about 36 hours and sent us this letter. And it was a good personal letter which gives his support for Desiray. And unfortunately, there was no way to keep this particular perpetrator in prison. But I think the governor agrees with me that the law needs to be changed.
Gloria Allred, Wayanne Kruger, thanks very much for being with us this morning.